Hey booktube! My name is the Book Mage, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a really big haul for you. It's the first haul of 2021. And yeah, I decided I would kick off the new year with a big book haul. So some of these are books that I got quite a while ago that just like didn't fit into any of my other hauls that I've done, and a lot of these are like books that I got over the Christmas period. People don't know what to get me, they just get me vouchers for bookshops, which I'm fine with. So I'm pretty sure there's over 30 books to haul today, which means we need to get going. So first things first, I'm going to start out with this. This is a special edition which I have not yet unboxed from the Folio Society, and I would do like a separate video, but I think I'm just going to include these in like my standard hauls from now on. But I do want to get this one out of the way first because it's very big and very heavy. Oh, look at that cute, they've given me like a little 2021 diary or planner or something for free. I won't use it because we're in a global pandemic and I don't have plans and I don't leave the house, but it's nice to have. Okay, well, what was inside that box? It was another box. Okay, so this is the folio edition of A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin, and if you have followed my channel for a while, you might know that I'm collecting these. So it comes in this like gorgeous monogrammed box, and there's like secret artwork on the inside. I think that's Joffrey. And then the book, which comes in 2 volumes, it looks like this. Okay, these are so pretty. These are like consistently some of the prettiest books I own. So this one is a lion and a direwolf on like a silver background, and this one a direwolf and a fish, and they're always symbolic of the like house sigils, house symbols. So yeah, I think these are really, really pretty, and I love getting these. They are very expensive, but I don't know, they're really well made and they're cloth bound and illustrated, so I'm sure not everyone thinks that it's worth it, but I like collecting books like as like a beautiful item just in itself, so that's why I have those. If you've seen my hauls before, you probably know that I do buy like a lot of like collector's editions and like special illustrated editions of books, just because I like them. So the next book in my haul is 10 Arrows of Iron by Sam Sykes. So this is book 2 in the Grave of Empire series, I think that's what it's called. This is the sequel to Seven Blades in Black, which is a book that I have not read yet, and it is a book that intimidates me because these books are very chunky. So obviously, as this is a sequel, I can't really tell you what it's about, but I believe the first book follows a mage called Sal the Cacophony who has had her magical powers stolen, and I think she's been left out in this unforgiving wilderness kind of place, and I think she's on her like quest to get revenge against like these 7 people that wronged her. I think that might be the plot. I've probably got something really wrong, but like that's how I remember it to the best of my knowledge. Yeah, so this is book 2. I do have this really bad habit of buying multiple books in a series before I've even started the first book, and since these are paperbacks, so they're not exactly going to go out of print anytime soon, I really do need to stop doing that, but these books do get an exception. Okay, the next book in my haul is another sequel. It's actually a series finale, and that is The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. This is the 3rd and final book in the Poppy War trilogy. So I haven't done a wrap up yet, but I started reading the Poppy War in December, and I was maybe like 100-ish pages in, and I thought I would just go ahead and just order book 3 because I already had book 2, and I figured I'm pretty sure I'm gonna read this whole series. I was enjoying it enough, and so I thought I'm just gonna go ahead and get book 3 because now I'm committed. So again, this is book 3, but book 1, The Poppy War, it is a grimdark fantasy that's very heavily based on real-world China, and it follows a girl called Rin as she is accepted into the country's most prestigious academy to be trained to be basically like a commander, a war leader, like somebody of great importance depending on like what path she chooses to take. It's basically a book about like gods, theology, magical powers, and the horrors of war. So yeah, this is book 3. I have no idea what's going to happen in this book because I have not yet read book 2, which is very large. I think it might even be bigger than this one. So a lot has got to go down before this point, but I'm excited to see where Rin's story goes. And so yeah, I'll let you know how I get on with these. Okay, the next book in my haul you will have seen in some of my other videos because I hadn't officially hauled this book yet, but I did have to put this book in some of my like end of year type videos. So that book is The Betrayals by Bridget Collins, and as you can see by this little bookmark, I am maybe like 100 and something pages into reading this book. Yes, can we admit that this is stunning? I did feature this book in my like top book covers of 2020 because this book is just all kinds of gorgeous. Even under the dust jacket, just like this book is magic. Even inside, it's just It's so pretty. So the vibe I get from this book, and these two things, this is not an accurate description of the plot or the events of the book so far, but it kind of feels like Queen's Gambit meets like 1984. I don't know if that's an accurate way to describe this. Basically, this book feels kind of dark academia without actually really being dark academia, at least not yet. I just accept. I can't describe this book. I haven't read it all the way through yet, and I don't know how to describe this book. The book itself is just very aesthetic. The book inside is as aesthetic as the cover. So that's kind of really all I can say. Hopefully I will be able to say something better about this in my next wrap up when I've finished it. But for now, this is literally as much as I can give you. I'm sorry that it's so jumbled. Okay, so the next book in my haul is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. So I think this is kind of like an old book. This might be like going on for like 10 years now. But I was a very big fan of Samantha Shannon's other work, The Priory of the Orange Tree, which is like this high fantasy. This is not high fantasy, but I really liked her writing, and I know she published this when she was quite young, and I think I'm just kind of interested to see what it's all about because I have heard a lot of good things about this, and several booktubers I mentioned are really fond of this book and this series, and the new one I think is coming out, like I think it's like book 4 or something, is coming out this year or has just come out. So once again, I'm not the most familiar with the plot of this. I believe it follows a girl called Paige, and I think she's a clairvoyant, and I think in this world, I think it's set in the future, in like an alternate future of the UK. Clairvoyants are illegal. I'm expecting something that's kind of sci-fi, kind of maybe like urban fantasy, like futuristic urban fantasy. Again, one of my favourite plots for fantasy, like traditional fantasy, is like the whole magic is forbidden or like mages are looked down upon sort of thing, and so clairvoyance being forbidden, illegal, it's not the sort of setting I would normally be drawn towards, but I like that setup in fantasy, and I know I like Samantha Shannon's writing, so I thought I would finally pick this one up, give it a read, give it a go. So yeah, I'm not sure when I'll get to this because I like that I have it because it means that I'm like committed to getting to it eventually. I just don't know when that will be. 30 books and I'm already running out of space, so I mean, let's see how I do this. Okay, the next book I hauled over the holidays was Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This is the collector's hardback edition, and just look how pretty this book is. Again, I think this may have also been in like my prettiest books of the year video because it's so shiny and blue and beautiful. It's just a very pretty edition, and it's meant to match the other editions, the other collector's editions. I think with the new Netflix show coming out, I think these books are probably going to see a lot more people picking them up and reading them, so they've brought out this beautiful new edition for all the new readers. And me, who is a magpie that cannot resist a shiny book. And continuing on from that, I also got the, I think, Illumicrate special edition of The Lives of Saints, also by Leigh Bardugo, and this is a stunning edition of a book. So this special edition, the only thing that's special about it is it comes with this dust jacket, this foil dust jacket, and it has this beautiful artwork on the front of Alina, and on the back it has the Darkling. And I will show you as well, there is like more artwork of various saints on like these inside flaps. And the book itself, the naked hardcover, looks like this, which is equally just as stunning, and if you get this not in special edition, then this is just the standard hardcover. So this is modelled to look, I believe, like a prop in the new Netflix series. So it's made to look like it comes from the world of the Grishaverse, which is one of my favourite things that books do. When a book looks like it could be an item from the universe, that is like just one of my favourite things ever. So I love this. And yeah, this is just like in-universe lore. It's all beautifully illustrated, and it's just all the various stories of like saints from the Grishaverse, so just like background lore. You obviously don't need to know this to read the books, but it's like if you were interested in like these little bits and pieces of like religion and history that you hear in the books, I think this is like a few like stories about the other saints in the books. So it's something that I will definitely be reading because in-world lore is just one of my favourite things ever. I collect so much stuff like that from various like video game franchises already, so I don't know, I love it when books do it. I love it when books release books from their own book. Does that make sense? I just love it when they do it. Okay, so next in my haul are 2 books that I picked up to complete a series that I have not yet finished. And those books are The Vampire Lestat and Queen of the Damned by Anne Rice. So this is kind of shameful. Interview with a Vampire is one of, if not my favourite book ever. I've still never finished reading The Vampire Lestat. I started it like when I was like 16 or something, and I got partway through and I had exams, so I put it down and I never picked it back up again. So I need to finish this. Where to put? I mean, you can kind of see them. Okay, so book number 10 in my haul is The Unwilling by Kelly Braffett. This is a book that I think I mentioned in one of my videos either last year, like 2019, or at the start of 2020, about just like books that I was interested in, like new releases for 2020 that I was interested in like keeping an eye on and reading, and for some reason I never got round to picking up a copy of this, but I kept thinking about it, and I just kept thinking like, I don't know why I'm kind of drawn to this book. I don't know if it's the cover or the synopsis or what exactly it is, but something kept this book like in the back of my mind somewhere, and so I went to have a look, and it was the last copy available, so I did buy it. So from what I remember, this book follows, I think, a young girl who is, I think she's like either an orphan or something, but she has this special power, and she's been taken in by, I think, like either the Lord or the King, and she's friends with his like young son. I think it's unclear as to like why she's been given this like position within the household, and like she doesn't really know what her place is, and then one day I think it's a mage or a healer comes there and basically says that she has this other purpose or something like that. Again, my recollection is vague, but I believe it's a fantasy and there's a mystery aspect there. Another thing I really love about this book, and it is just like a plain hardcover, but like the like design, like the marbling, the texture on this cover and like the colour, I love this so much. If I ever publish a book, this is like exactly what I want under the cover. I don't care that there's no like design, there's no like foiling, I don't care. This is so gorgeous. Okay, the next book I'm hauling is a book less pretty, a book I've already talked about for actually being ugly, and that is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. So I never read The Hunger Games as a kid or as a teen or anything like that, but I did read them very recently during our like first lockdown. Oh jeez. And I enjoyed them. Like for YA books, I thought they were actually really well done. Definitely not the best thing I've ever read by far. I think I gave them like 3 stars, and maybe like a higher 3 stars for the first book. And this book was releasing at like the same time that I was reading those, so I figured I would pick this up just in case I ever did decide to like read the prequel. I think this follows President Snow. I think my only hopes for this, and I don't know what happened in this book, I'm hoping that we actually get to see some of the games because the arena is the most interesting part. Obviously it won't be told from his perspective, but maybe we'll still get to see some of the events. This is like the special Waterstones edition, so I kind of hate that it's yellow, and it does have like this snake on it, and there's obviously snake motifs like throughout the book, and it has a ribbon. But other than that, I don't really care much about this book. I think I just bought this at a time when I was reading the rest of the series, so I thought maybe I would continue with it, and I thought I would read this straight after The Hunger Games, but I was a bit exhausted with reading from that world, so I might pick this up if I'm ever feeling like a Hunger Games type mood again, but this I have no plans to get to anytime soon, just that I might read it eventually, but it's low priority. Okie dokie, time for another special edition, because we all know I can't help myself when there are special editions on offer. So my next book in the haul is The Winter Road, and this is by Adrian Selby. This book is only published in paperback, but there was a special edition hardcover released, so because I had been sort of interested in reading this book and I'd had it on like my radar for a while, and there was a special edition, I thought, what better time to pick it up. My understanding of the synopsis again is vague because it's been a very long time since I read about it. I believe this follows, I think it's a woman who, I think she is leading like this convoy, this caravan of people through the winter across this wintry land. I do like very wintry books. If a book is set in a very snowy, cold, unforgiving, wintry kind of place, I immediately tend to love that. I don't know whether it's just because I've played a lot of like Skyrim and Dragon Age, but I do tend to really like that. Okay, next in my haul is a trilogy, and a very big trilogy. I'm gonna have trouble holding these. Okay, this is gonna be hard. So I picked up The Shadow of What Was Lost, An Echo of Things to Come, and The Light of All That Falls, all by James Islington. So these books are thick. I will be honest, I literally have no idea what these books are about. I have been kind of interested in them, and I keep seeing them pop up in my recommended everywhere, even since before I started BookTube. Again, I think what I remember about this, I think there is like a forbidden magic or a forbidden power. I think that the people who had this gift have all been like killed, or like they've eradicated this magic from the land, but I think the main character does possess this magic, or they're one of the few people left that does have this magic power. I could be totally wrong. I think it is like a forbidden magic type story. When a book is huge, when there's like a completed trilogy and all the books in it are huge, it does just kind of call out to me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I thought I would just pick up this whole series and, I don't know, finally get them, because I have been eyeing them for a while. Too long, in fact. I feel like I should have bought them sooner. This one, the third book in the series, is the only one that's in like print still in the UK, in hardback. And this is the, obviously, UK copy. When I ordered a second-hand UK hardback copy, I got this, which is the US and Canadian edition, because the spines, you'll see, the spines, they don't match, which is causing me to rage. But this one does have deckled edges for some reason. It's just gonna stand out too much on my shelf and I can't do it. I am just one of those people that needs their books to match. And then don't even get me started on this one. I could do a whole rant about this. This was described as like a fine condition of the second book, and fine means like it's in like almost as new condition, so like there's no tears, there's no damage, there's no writing in it. This book is like, it's so crumpled and like it's heavily read and like it's so filthy. I feel kind of gross picking this up because there's like, I don't know if you can see, but there's like dirt and like some sort of sticky residue on the front. I'm sorry, but sticky is not a word I want to associate with any of the books in my collection. It's kind of nasty. Like, it's readable, but if I wanted a readable copy, I could have paid a lot less for one of the many other readable editions out there. You know, I'm not paying for like a quality, fine condition book to be given this. No. They do look really nice though as a set. If they all matched and they were all in good condition, they would be so pretty. So the next book in my haul is another, it's not like a special edition, but it is like a hardback cover re-release of a much older book, and that is Penrick's Progress by Lois McMaster-Bujold. So this is set in the World of the Five Gods series of books, and the first book published in that series was The Curse of Chalion, which is one of the best books I've ever read. It's 5 stars. I love it so much. I really liked the world that Lois McMaster-Bujold crafted for her stories, and I love the way that she writes things, especially characters. So in the World of the Five Gods, I think there's 3 books in like the original trilogy, and then there's like 4 or 5 other books that all follow the character called Penrick. And I don't know whether these are a prequel or a sequel, but I don't think they're set at the same time as like the original trilogy. But yeah, these are like a series of novellas that the author released to go in this world, and I think they're finally being like combined and all released in like these nice new matching editions. Yeah, I really like that book, and I really do want to read all the books in her World of the Five Gods series because I enjoyed it so much. So I just wanted to buy these as they came out. Okay, the next 3 books in my haul are all part of another finished trilogy, which are again part of a much larger series. And that is the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. So that is Book 1, Assassin's Apprentice, Book 2, Royal Assassin, and Book 3, Assassin's Quest. So like these books get real chunky real fast. Like Book 1, it's like, oh yeah, it's just a normal, and then Book 3 is like, hello? Oh, normal pages, normal pages. Soft. Why so soft? Sorry, this is so weird, but like these 2 books have normal pages, but then this book feels like I'm stroking a cat. It's so soft. So Book 1, I admit, everyone's heard of this series. If you know fantasy, you've heard of this series and you've heard of Robin Hobb. And these are books that I've been meaning to pick up for like, I want to say like a decade or something. But once again, since I do always tend to go into books blind, I don't recall much about the plot of this one. I think the main character, because I have heard it talked about a lot, I think the main character is like a stable hand, but he's also like, I think he's like the bastard son of like the king or something. And I think either, I can't remember whether it's to get him out of the way or whether it's to get him to safety. It's one or the other. I think he's taken away to, I'm assuming, to be trained as an assassin. Do you know, that just sounds so good. It just sounds like so much fun. It just sounds like such a classic fantasy setup, and I know Robin Hobb writes fantastically. I know people have praised her like so much, so I can only assume this is going to be fantastic. So many people that I follow have read these, and I just can't believe that I have not. And so I did get the whole series. I did consider buying every single thing that Robin Hobb has published in like the same edition. The paperbacks for these books are like my favourite editions. I do have like a collector's edition hardback of Assassin's Apprentice already, but these editions are my favourite editions of this book. So yeah, I did consider buying, like, she has like, I don't know, like 20 or 30 books all out in this same like universe, but that was a lot of money to buy all those books at once, so I didn't do that. And I'm trying to save my shelves by just like reading one series at a time, so I will buy one series at a time. But I can guarantee, like, once I'm halfway through reading this one, I will, like, buy the next series immediately. So, yeah, I have these to look forward to. My shelves are overfull, and yet I have books to go. Okay, the next book in my haul was a bit of a weird buy for me, like, specifically for me. but I think I know why I got this. It's Harrow the Ninth by Tamsin Weir. Again, I love the cover to this. You know, it's got a lovely design. It's always summarised as lesbian necromancers in space. It sounds so fun. I don't know whether I've mentioned this here. I did pick up Gideon the Ninth. I did try to read the first chapter. I think it's just personal taste. I hated, despised the writing. Like every sentence I read, I was like visibly annoyed, but I don't know whether I was just in a bad mood or what. I don't know. I've never since gone back to try and pick it up, and I think it is a book that I really do want to give a second chance to. Maybe I'm just overreacting, like maybe it wasn't as weird as I remember in my head. Either way, I will give these books another go, and so I decided that I would get the sequel, because hardback books in the UK at least go out of stock after a few months, and then you can't get them, and then my editions won't match, and we all know how I feel about that. And yeah, that way I have the second book on hand, and also it's just a really pretty cover. I really like this. Like, she looks badass. Okay, from that to a very, very tiny book. I picked up Serpentine by Philip Pullman. I picked this up when I had the intention to reread all of the His Dark Materials trilogy, and I know that there is like a prequel and a sequel and something else. This, I believe, is a short novella sequel to the events of the His Dark Materials trilogy. It was one of my favourite trilogies as a kid, so I just picked this up on a whim, because I think it was like newly releasing at the time, and it's signed. I guess I picked it up at a time when I thought I would be rereading them. I have not yet reread them, but when I do, I will get to this eventually. I don't know what number book we're on now, but the next book I picked up was completely kind of a cover buy, just an aesthetic buy really, and that is The Vanished Queen by Elizabeth Campbell. And just by chance, I matched this book. Me and this book are just, we're twinning right now. I picked this up mainly because I liked the cover. I think the synopsis really intrigued me. So I think like the background to this plot is that there was a queen who disappeared, obviously kind of given away by the title. I think it's sort of thought that she didn't disappear naturally, like she was made to disappear, like somebody got rid of her, and I think it's said that it's probably her husband, the king, and I think it follows this like young girl trying to like unearth the mystery, something along those lines. I'm probably missing a lot of detail for this. The synopsis intrigued me at the time, and I think this was on offer when I bought it, because normally I don't buy books that I'm not like really interested in unless they're on offer and I think, oh yeah, sure. And then, you know, I end up with this many books. I think that might be the case for the next book as well, but it was also kind of a little bit of a cover buy. So the next book is Sword of Fire by Catherine Kerr. This, I think, is set after another series of books, so I think you can start at this one and pick this one up as a standalone, or the start of a new series, but I won't do that. I will pick up the other series first. As I said, hardback books in the UK go out of print very soon, so I wanted to pick this up to ensure that when I eventually like read my way through the books and get to this one, I'll have a nice copy of it. Because of that though, I don't know very much about the plot, and I'm trying not to look like too much into the synopsis either, because I don't want to accidentally spoil myself for like how the events of those previous books might turn out to then lead on to this, because this is obviously set after, and I don't want to spoil myself. But I think the book, like it has a lot to do with bards. I think bards are a very special thing, or like an important thing in this world or the world's history, and I don't read a lot of books about bards, and this book is just beautiful, and yeah, it's a very shallow reason for buying a book, but I know that if it takes me like another couple of years to read my way through the series, when I eventually like commit to start reading it, and this book won't exist. It'll just be like a weird paperback with probably a less beautiful cover, and so I wanted to buy this. Okay, I swear we're getting near the end. The next book in my haul is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. So this is from the author who wrote Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and this is like a much shorter book. I think that one is known for being quite big. This one, however, is much shorter, and I've heard some fairly good things about this, I think. I really have no idea what this is about. I think it's going to be weird, maybe magical realism, I'm not really sure. I think it's just going to be like quirky, and I'm not quite sure. Again though, this is a very pretty book. It does have this sort of like wraparound design on the spine of the book. But yeah, it's just another one where it's like, if I do want to read this book, I'd better get the hardback quick before it just disappears from the face of the earth forever. So I feel like this could be like an interesting short read. It's probably the kind of thing that I would pick up for a readathon if I ever start doing those again. Okay, we're on to like the last few books, and these are just like little books that I got. There is like a stupid funny story about the next two books. Like when I unwrapped these when they arrived, I was like, So these are two like companion books, but I'm gonna give them to you in the reverse order because it's the order that the story makes sense in. So the first one that I bought was The Lost Spells, and this is by Robert Macfarlane and Jackie Morris, and this is just a cute, beautiful little book, like a little pocket-sized book, and it's very pretty inside, and in it I think there are just poems about like nature and small creatures, and just like this little ode to just recognizing like all these small little like wondrous things about nature. It's lovely and cloth bound, and there are these like moth wings on the front. It feels very textured, and I just thought that would be such a nice cute thing to read and to own. It's the kind of thing where I might pick this up like every now and again, like between books, and just read a little bit here and there, or maybe like a poem or like a short story or snippet like every other day or something. And obviously it's also very pretty, and so I thought I will buy this. But also there is a companion book, and it's called The Lost Words, and that one's the same sort of deal. It's the same as this, but it's like the just original version with I guess different topics, still like nature and small animals and things. And I was like, great, I've got this, I'll buy the other one. So you know, this cute little pocket book. This is the companion. Do you see the issue here? I feel like this was some sort of production accident. I feel like somebody printed this book massive by accident. Somebody accidentally entered like the game's code and enlarged this book, because look at this. What is this? I think the thing is, some retailers, most retailers just market this as just like a book, but then I have checked and some other retailers do say it's specifically a children's book. This one is definitely like the size of a children's book, but the thing is it's heavy, and I understand that when I see a book like this I think, oh yeah, it's massive, so it's a children's book. But also, why do we make children's books so big when children are in fact so small? I don't know, I feel like it would be really fun to get like a high fantasy book, like an adult high fantasy book published this big, so that I can like throw it onto a table and dramatically turn to a page like I'm some sort of like ancient monk or something. That would be fun as like a special edition. I don't know who would buy it, because like, again, where am I gonna put this? Where am I gonna put this? But yeah, this is like, it is really pretty because you have like these massive illustrations. I feel like this would be a lovely book for like a coffee table in some sort of like cottagecore witch's house, because like, why would you not want to have this on like your little cottagecore witch's table, like among all your like herbs and teacups and things? It sounds cute, but for me this doesn't fit. I don't own a coffee table. I don't drink coffee. I don't have friends to sit around a table. I thought that this was funny. It definitely amused me. Just more of my book struggles. So the next two books I bought are kind of like, they follow a theme, you'll see. So I got The Book of Tokyo, which I think is by various authors, and Strange Weather in Tokyo, and this is by Hiromi Kawakami. I don't think I talk about it much on my channel, but I studied a little bit of Japanese. I'm very fond of like certain bits of Japanese culture, and I have family, or I did before all this kicked off anyway, I did previously have family that like lived and worked in Tokyo, so it's always been somewhere that I have always wanted to go. But I did realise I don't read much literature from Japan outside of like manga, so I was definitely drawn to these books. I've had them like on my radar again for quite a while, and I finally just decided that like with all like the book vouchers and things that I was being given over the holidays, I would just buy them. So this one I believe is a series of short stories, so I think it might be various authors, because there's no author on the spine, and I just have like the editor and I think the translators here. I think they're just like little short stories that might have like either like dark twists or maybe like elements of like magical realism or like fantasy and fabulism. I'm not really sure, but they're all set in Tokyo, and I don't know whether they like intersect or like tie together at any point. I think like these little stories will touch on like different areas or parts of Tokyo. It does say like the tagline is a city in short fiction, and I will admit I adore this cover so much. It's absolutely beautiful. It's not the kind of normal cover that I would like, but I love this. And Strange Weather in Tokyo, I think I recall the synopsis is that a girl is, she's out alone, she's either in like a bar or a coffee shop or something, and she ends up sitting across from like her old teacher, and I think they strike a conversation and end up becoming like friends or companions, and they continue to meet or something. And I think it's just a story about like them and their relationship or something like that. I'm not really sure, but it's very, very short, and it sounds really I don't know, you wouldn't think it, but this is really my taste. Very different to like the usual books that I haul, but I did want to pick these up. I also picked up, and this will be of like interest to no one but me, I also picked up Herbal Healers, and this is by Glennie Kindred. You can't really see them, they're down here, but I have like a whole collection of these books, and I initially started buying them because I wanted to do like lots of little bits of background research into things like, it was things like mythology and like trees, British trees, poisonous plants, history of dragons, the history of like magical symbols. They're all just like little pocket-sized digestible bits of like the tip of the iceberg for information on this topic, and so I thought they would be really fun to collect a bunch of them. Okay, so this one, like I said, I got book vouchers for Christmas, and one of the places that I got vouchers for was Waterstones. I had to have like a certain amount to check out to get free delivery, and I kept adding books and my discounts kept taking me like below the delivery amount, so I finally added on this book, which is called Cat Poems, and it's by various authors, and I literally just added this to my cart because it was like £3 or something, and it gave me free delivery. But it's very cute. It's a little cat, and it's just various little poems or excerpts from various stories that feature cats. And again, this is the kind of thing that like I would never sit and read this like start to finish in like completion in like one go, so it's just various little poems and pieces about cats that have been written throughout history, and I think that sounds cute. Maybe I will read them to my cat at bedtime. Yeah, it might also be like, if you had a coffee table, it might be a cute thing to have on there just to like peruse at your leisure. But yeah, I did just buy this to get free shipping, but I probably will also read it. Okay, and the last book I have reminds me of a time pre-lockdown, because this is a copy of a play that I got when I went to the theatre to see this play pre-COVID at the start of the year. At the start of last year, jeez. Oh, wow, okay. And that is a copy of Pride and Prejudice, sort of. So I took my mum to go see this play because she loves Pride and Prejudice. I think she liked all versions, but specifically, I think it's the 2005 version. We both really like that version. It's kind of like our like mother-daughter bonding film, because there are not a lot of films that we both like, but that's one of them. So I took my mum to see this, which is an all-female production of Pride and Prejudice with sort of like modern tongue-in-cheek kind of like vibe to it. It's like, if you think of Shrek, yes, I'm going to compare this to Shrek. If you think of Shrek, like it's you know, it's like a medieval-esque fantasy, but they still have like drive-throughs and like karaoke and things. They do sing karaoke in this. Their like balls and things are it's not like a ball where you dance, it's you sing karaoke on a tiny crappy little karaoke machine. Yeah, the language is updated. It's very like, it's sort of like one of those really overly modern retranslations, but done in a really fun way. And to see it performed on stage was fantastic. It was so funny. Every actress was just bringing their absolute best to the role. They all played multiple parts. I think there were just 5 women playing all of the parts, having all of these costume changes, and it was such a fun evening and such a fantastic production. And I really liked it. So I bought a copy of the play, and it does have an ISBN, so you might be able to buy this. So I bought this because I definitely do intend to reread this, just because it was so funny and irreverent and like light-hearted. And this definitely reminds me of a better time when I could like go out with family and like, you know, go out for a meal and then go see a production and then like, you know, have fun and come home and just, you know, I miss this world. Very different to everything else I'm hauling, because I don't normally haul plays or like things like this, but I thought I would put this in here because like my hope is that like I will get to see more things like this and buy more things like this at the actual event, not like a virtual screening, not like a whatever, you know. I hope that we can progress to a point where these things are possible again, because I miss them. Oh my god, okay, it's done. The haul is over. But in all seriousness, yes, this was a lot of books, but as you can see, like from the timeline of some of these books, I have had some of these sat around for a long time. I have not really hauled very much in the past year. Yeah, this is the last though of my backlog of books. I think there is only maybe one book I own that I haven't hauled yet, and I did want to haul it today, but I can't find it. I've literally lost this book before I've even hauled it. I've lost this book, but it's fine. I'll find it or buy another copy, or like we'll see. But yeah, I think there were 31 books in this haul, which is like, it's a lot, but you can see that these have built up over quite a long period of time, and then, you know, like the bulk of these did come from like the Christmas period. So yeah, kicking off the new year with a haul. I may in fact have to do like a video like summarising my entire TBR. I feel like I should do that at some point. Yes, so aside from me struggling to take a thumbnail, that is it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, maybe seen some like new books that you might want to pick up. Do let me know if you guys have any like specific thoughts or feelings about any one of these books in particular. Like either you loved it or you hated it or you're really excited to read something. Let me know. Yeah, I'm sure I say this every time, but like hopefully you'll be seeing some of these books in some of my wrap-ups. I am trying to get back into the swing of reading so that I can start doing like my more regular booktube videos and wrap-ups and things like that. All dependent on mental health, but like, you know, I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. If anything, maybe I've given you something to add to like your next TBR. So yeah, I think that is about it for this video. Do remember to check out the rest of my channel if you like things that are predominantly like fantasy, high fantasy, adult fantasy, a lot of fantasy. And yeah, I hope you're all having a really good time reading maybe like your first few reads of the year. And hopefully I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!